And we are live. We are doing a pre-record, not a pre-record, but we're going to record it. And we are live. Ooh, I gotta lower this because I'm going to use this for the questions. So we are going to do a quick live. We got Frank Fiordilino in the house, former Bonanno associate. Frank Fiordilino, welcome to the Armchair NBA. How you doing today?
All right, not bad. Yourself, Tom?
I am well. So we're going to have some people trickle in, and then we're going to do a little Q&A. Okay. I'm going to ask some questions. In the meantime, Frank, why don't you, I always like to do this. For those that haven't seen, we did, what, 3-part series at this point?
Yeah, I think this is like the fourth.
This is the fourth one, right? So we can go back to the other ones. But why don't you give your first introduction to the life?
At a young age, I said it before, Bushwick, Ridgewood section of Queens. Yeah. Very mobbed up, and that's where I was at.
Now, you were hooked up with the Bonannos. Why the Bonannos?
It was a family thing. I pretty much had no choice. The older people in my family were part of that family, and then I just became, I had no choice. If I was going to go into a life of crime, it had to be the Bonanno, no way.
Now, growing up at that point, the Sicilians had a very strong presence in Cosa Nostra in the U.S., obviously, but specifically with the Bonannos and the Gambinos. My question to you is, were they from a certain part of Italy? Like, you know how it works in Italians.
Yeah. The Gambino faction, or the Zip faction of the Gambino family, is originally from the Palermo area.
Okay.
It's always been that way. And now the Bonanno family, the majority of the Sicilian faction of the Bonanno family came from Castellammare del Golfo.
Okay, like Bonanno did.
Like Bonanno did, or Maranzano before him.
And because of that, you know how it is, Paisani, a lot of them related?
Mm-hmm. Were they related?
A lot of them related, or just
yes. There was definitely nepotism. The most in the Bonanno family more than anywhere else.
Got it. Okay, we're going to do a
the Colombo family, come to think of it, also has a lot of nepotism involved.
Okay, good point. So what we're going to do is quick format. It's been 15 minutes. Frank, we're at an undisclosed location. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take some questions. The first question is, what's the biggest bet that you ever took?
Oh, fuck. Probably the one I didn't pay. I don't know. Maybe 20 grand.
Okay. You ever have a situation where you took action and it was a really connected guy or a made guy or captain and they owed you a lot of money and they weren't paying? Did that ever happen with you?
No. Never happened. And if it did, captains pay.
Yeah,
guys that are made pay, because that goes. Their people are in that business, and just like the other guys pay, they don't want to look like the bad ones. They could get reprimanded. They could get shelved with that kind of shit when you're made.
What about what was your earn when you were on the streets?
Not much. I spent more than I earned. I don't know, man. And even when I bookmake, I wasn't really lucky at it, because you got to have some form of luck. We had money, man. I had good people with me, but we just didn't make that much.
Now, if you Google Frank, somebody Googles, you said the mob was a farce and there's no honor. Why don't you walk us through that?
Okay, I said it before. When I did make that statement at my sentencing, what happened was, by then, a lot of people I thought would never rat in the life, including Joe Messino, did. So I was kind of like disappointed in myself that I allowed myself to want to be in that life.
Yeah.
After a guy like Joe Messino talks, or a Sal Vitale, people that were most closest to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really didn't know Sammy the Bull, so it didn't really matter.
Correct. So now, I know the answer, but just for the people in the audience, were you made or were you an associate?
Associate.
If you stayed the course, you think you could have got your button, or were you too much of a wild child?
I don't want to offend nobody, but looking at the people that are there right now, I would say definitely yes.
Good point. Hey, Montauk, how are you, buddy?
But not back then. I was a fuck up. I'm not.
Yeah.
As far as like that. But eventually I would have got made. Considering what's out there now, yes.
So one of the areas, if you ever watch a show, where I am semi-fascinated with, because I had the pleasure of going to Sicily. I went to Palermo, Partinico, Porcetto, Torretta, Carini, all those places. And the mob there is just ingratiating.
Isn't Sicily beautiful, though?
It's in Bella Paese, Bella Città, the Palermo, beautiful, right?
And it's got a hidden agenda.
San Vito, well,
San Vito lo Cabo is in Trapani. That's not too far from where I'm from.
And it's beautiful. You know what they say about Sicily is in Italy, but in everybody throughout the world goes to Italy. The people in Italy vacation in Sicily.
Yeah.
So I've always heard that. So, but that's the thing. With Sicilians here and there, nothing is what it seems, right? So my question to you is, what is the difference between a Sicilian mafiosi and an American mafiosi, Italian American mafiosi?
The bragging, the it's more accepted to be known to be a wise guy, and it's not. And in Italian culture, it's not.
Yeah.
And I said it before. What the American tries so hard to make you understand that he's a gangster.
Yeah.
On the other side, in Sicily, they'll try so hard to make you think they're not.
Correct. I remember it was Tommaso Buscetta and other turncoats. Obviously, got to hear it from a turncoat that when they got made and when they went to a ceremony or got introduced, they were surprised on who were made. Right. Whereas America, the wise guys I talked to, they were surprised who wasn't. Because the guy who walks around like who he is in America, he's not a made guy. And like now you're a made guy. You're like, oh shit, I thought he was. And in Italy, it's the opposite. It's a baker. It's a butcher.
Yes. We had a guy like that in the Bonanno family. I'm not going to mention him, but he was a janitor for 60 years. And his son is made as well. I don't know if he's still alive, and he's related to me by marriage. My family, anyway.
Yeah.
And he worked, and people like he's made.
Yeah.
That guy. I'll go. Granted, he had the glass name that was very
prominent
in the mob, especially in my town. But at the same time, he was a janitor, and he was made, and people were like, "Oh, you're kidding me."
Wow.
Brown bagging it to work every time, So.
Well, I remember. I was in Sicily, and we went to like this farm, and this guy was in mud from like head to toe.
Right.
And we leave, and who I was with goes, "That's like the local boss of the Madamente." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, he could like."
Yeah.
He could have anybody killed anywhere in the world, give him like a week or two, and it could be done. I'm like, what? Like, and the guy was like had like brown tooth and like.
But that's what made the mob what it was.
Yeah.
That you got to be scared of the unknown.
Because otherwise.
And because if you know what's coming, then it's detectable. You know what I mean?
Good point. Now, what about? Do you think so? For example, the Sicilian cultures, you know this. It's very very warm, welcoming. Like, for example, I grew up with Sicilians.
Sure.
They give you the shirt off their back. They're good people. Don't fuck them. But they're good people. Don't betray them. But the mob is a bit treacherous, right? Do you consider the mob to be a little different outside the Sicilian culture, or do you consider it more intertwined, in your opinion?
It depends. They differ from each other for sure. From the American, you're saying.
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. They do. But it's secretive. They take pride in being secretive.
Got somewhere to go. Let me just see if only. Okay, so go ahead. Sorry.
No, they take pride in being secretive. That's the whole idea. There's something that was said when I was there one time. I asked the kid, "I don't see no shootings, no guns around here. You don't see them." And the kid told me, "This is Sicily. You don't see guns. You hear them." And it's a nice peaceful, but it could also sneak up on you.
So now you growing up, your father was not in the life, correct?
My father was not in the life, but his brothers were, and he was an associate of the life.
So what happened growing up when you became an associate? Was he alive?
My dad was, yeah.
What was his?
I don't think he felt I was an associate. He probably felt I was just related to everybody else in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't like, "Oh, I seen you hanging out with those guys." Well, we could start at home then. You know what I mean?
Now, the other thing is, you were part of the storied Giannini crew.
Right. God, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the Giannini crew. Listen, I to this day, and these go for all the people, if you are into the mob,
I said it
you watch the
before,
mob
it
stuff.
was just different cliques that hung out in one place, and we grew up together, and then we started drifting apart. Then at times we got together, and I think Jerry Capisi made it more than it was.
Yeah, but there was like 20 hitters in that crew.
Yes, it was a dangerous crew. There was a lot of things. There was stuff that were on the news all the time. There was one kid who shot the girl because he didn't want her to have to get.
You told me about that.
Yeah. He didn't want it to have the Spanish kid, so he shot her in the stomach.
Hey.
And it made headline news. You know what I mean? There was a lot of ugliness too involved in these kids. So it's like, yeah, there was a lot of shooters, of course.
I gotta ask this.
Do you know how he got off the hook on that?
Yeah.
Well, he ended up telling on everybody else after, but he got off the hook because that Colin Ferguson got on the LIRR.
Yeah.
And he was headline news because they were trying to figure who would shoot this 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
They were getting at the detectives. They love those big stories.
Yeah.
Colin Ferguson gets on the LIR, kills all those people, and it took the limelight away from him.
Wow.
And the cops had a hard on him. They knew it was him. He had something to do with that kid, and he started telling them all. He was the beginning of the end for the Giannini crew, like Sal was for about the
Correct. Now I got to ask this. Give me your opinion. Maybe the Giannini crew versus maybe the Bath Avenue crew. What were maybe similarities and differences?
I don't know. I mean, my cousin was part of that. Dino was part of the
Colombo side.
Bay 20 crew. They fought with them. I don't know. I'm just like Ali versus Marciano. I don't know.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
There you go. Which one was Ali? Just kidding.
Yeah.
All right. So
we were bigger, and I'll tell you why. This is
Yeah.
the thing. You see the Bath Avenue crew, they were 2-3 blocks, and they were powerful for those 2-3 blocks. We were a whole neighborhood. We covered Glendale, Ridgewood, Middle Village.
Yeah.
So we had the best of the best out of those 3 neighborhoods. It's like, say, Bay Ridge,
Yeah.
Dyke Heights,
Correct.
and Bensonhurst all in one.
You had a whole area.
So we were bigger, and then we had more shooters for sure.
And generally,
but we had a lot of area.
And generally, the Giannini crew were like sons of made guys. So like everybody was connected. It wasn't like I was a random guy showed up.
Not all. I would say maybe 3 or 4.
Oh, the rest were just local.
No. Their family was involved, but they weren't made. You know,
Got it.
Uncles and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe a lot of them. Not father, sons, more uncles, cousins.
Yeah.
A lot.
Now, question is, what did you think of Vito Rizzuto?
I mean, he was pretty impressive stories. He used to come down weddings and especially on the Zip side and funerals. But I didn't know much about him other than what I eat. Man's man.
Who was the most dangerous Zip you ever met? Like guy that like just would kill you. Like he probably 5'5", but will kill you with his pinky. Like who was like the most dangerous with hands and with a gun?
Zip.
Yeah. Other side.
There was a lot. A lot of them got killed. That I met, that I knew they were dangerous at the time. I knew him now. Probably seeds above metric.
Jesus, they call him the tall guy, right?
He's not 6'7". He was probably 6'1", 6'2".
Which
he was a little taller than Baldo, but not by much.
Okay, just so you know,
and Baldo's tall.
6'1" in Sicily is like a football. It's like
yeah. You see, he was 6'7".
My father was 5'5", so yeah, these guys are short.
He was He was feared.
So I want to talk about that because like he was an up and comer, theoretically involved with the Galante hit, or at least didn't prevent it. He was a rising star. He was a moneymaker. He adopted the American culture. He was Sicilian, but like the sunglasses and the life. Why did he have to go?
Power move. Joe Messina power move. Absolutely. We said this all the time. There was this drug dealer, Tony Aiello. Not Tony Aiello, is Anthony Aiello, the guy, Tony, what's his name? Gorgeous is Luca Brazzi.
Oh, yeah.
That's his son.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of time too, but Tony.
Yeah.
Caesar was exhorting Tony for more than he wanted.
Oh, okay.
Tony went to Rusty,
which was the boss.
Yeah, and he says, "Listen, you tell him to."
Rusty or his wife? Just kidding.
Yeah, you can ask me about that. I didn't know. Let me see the psych papers on
that. I was gonna say.
But anyway, he had his foot on Tony's. Caesar did.
Yeah. On
Tony's neck, and Rusty said, "Lay off," and he said something to the effect like, "Fuck you, who are you?"
Hey.
Yeah, which is if anybody who knew Caesar's story circulated, that's very probable.
But then
they made up and whatever, and Messina calls a meeting, and he's not even at the meeting because he thinks he's not going to come by himself. He's not that stupid, and he did.
Oh,
he came by himself, and he got shot. Salvatore shot him. He was playing with the wheel. He gave him a run for it, and came around and stabbed him.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and then they put it, and they found him in a drum in Garfield, New Jersey.
New Jersey,
yeah.
But I always wondered about that because the Sicilian guys, and I know like maybe he was here for a little bit, But does that go like unencumbered? Like, there's not somebody in Sicily that's like, well, what happened to our guy? At that point, it doesn't matter. Like, I just always wonder when some of these
No,
guys,
at that point they were severed from Italy. Italy had its own problems.
yeah, especially the 90s.
Yeah, if anybody was to take that vengeance, was Canada and whatever zips were left.
So Messino saw the zips as a liability versus an asset, if you will.
Yeah, there was no more Sicilians up in. There was no more zips in the captain position when he was up there.
All right. Previous interview, you said to be around Barty Baloma, which was not a lot about.
Right.
And remember, I'm still out in the streets. I gotta be careful.
Okay.
Just be careful.
Listen, it wasn't.
Wasn't
In a criminal aspect. All you see, it wasn't in a criminal. No, not at all. He came up to me while we were in jail, and he said, "Frank, you Italian." Obviously, he knew I was coming out of the co-defendant meetings with everybody else.
Yeah.
I was the only one that wasn't made in those meetings.
Yeah.
Sorry. So somebody must have told him I'm Sicilian.
Yeah.
So he goes to me. I said, "Yeah, I'm Sicilian." He goes, "No shit, so am I." I said, "Wait."
You got into it with like Nadu or somebody arguing about his birthplace. It was
Yeah, well, this is what happened. I said, "Well, so am I." No, this was friendly. It was all good. It was not. This is how I was in his presence. It wasn't criminal.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah." I goes, "I was born there too." I go, "Where were you born?" He said, "Corleone." And he goes, "Where are you from?" Castellamare.
He's from Corleone?
Yeah.
How apropos.
Yeah. So you learn something new every day. So, but that was it. It wasn't like, we scored on something. He was one of the nicest guys I ever met.
So
real family guy. Every time his family was there, he did his family thing. He wasn't,
How was he treated in jail?
Good. He did his own thing. He has John. You could tell he was really into his legal work. Always buying the smart guy. Okay.
He was a college educated, I believe, right?
I don't know, but he's a smart guy. I always thought of him to be like the Italian American type. So this and that from the Bronx. When he talked with the side of his mouth. No, far from it.
All right, now I got to ask this.
So there was your Bonnie Baloma question.
So toughest gangster with their hands. Would you take a Bronx guy, a Brooklyn guy, or a Queens guy? Who'd you take?
Brooklyn, all that. And I'm from Queens.
Over Bronx, huh?
Yeah. Bro, those kids can fight in Brooklyn.
So I remember on the old show.
They could fight. Brooklyn guys could fight.
I remember on the old show, Panisi made a comment about Queens over Bronx, and to this day, I still get shit like text me. So I'm like, I didn't say it, bro. Queens is stuff too, but I get the respect.
And listen, when we're talking Bronx, we got Bushwick over there too. Yeah. I've seen some of the best fighters, the Puerto Rican fighters in Bushwick. Yeah. And some blacks in Bedford Stuyvesant. So from there, Tyson, Frank Fiordilino.
That's right.
So Brooklyn got the best fighters.
So there were rumors that Sal Vitale was a former cop, or did people just ignore it? It was a huge red flag, according to Sean.
There was a room. He was a correction officer. Was there rumors? To my knowledge, no. He would have been dead.
I was told this from a former made guy that you were not supposed to make anybody with a badge, including
the fireman,
including what's his name, Peter Gotti. He was a sanitation worker,
right?
And a sanitation
they
worker,
have badges.
You get a badge, allegedly.
You get a badge for throwing out garbage.
I just listen.
Good job.
I'm just telling you what I was told. I'm like the podcaster here.
Well, I didn't know that. But listen. The rules of the mob, even when the Sicilians around, and the rules now are totally different. Yeah. Like all these mob tubers that go on to, that's a rap move. Yeah. If you're in the mob and you're talking about anything mafia, you could get killed.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't want you to keep your name out of my mouth. Name bad or good.
That's true. Good point.
There's one guy that claims he's a made guy and he goes around doing blocks. I don't want to start that one up with him again. He's just a freaking idiot. He's a made guy, but he doesn't want to tell people who he is. But he talks about active shit and stuff like that. I hope they find you. I know who he is.
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
All right. Corrections officer, still a cop. Anyone who swears an oath, so get set. All right. The other thing is, I was told, like, kind of the Gotti era was we don't take pleas, right?
Sure.
And I was actually talking to an older
Sicilian. Allocute, whatever.
Yeah, allocute. Well, that's a different level.
Yeah.
And I was talking to an old Sicilian guy, and I'm not going to obviously name his name. And I said, hey, why are deals not okay? I guess the Sicilian idea is if you meet with law enforcement at any point behind closed doors, not obviously in the courtroom,
right?
That is considered a rap move, or it's considered. Was that the reason why you think Gotti might have said no deals?
You see, yes, but you see how they even when you start taking the pleas, all right, you see how the government writes up these pleas these days?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, they're like, and do you say that you were a member of this, and are you aware there's an underboss? Are you aware there's a, they're adding more to that, those pleas.
Yeah.
Or jamming up other people.
Why they're doing it.
Yeah, because they said, screw it, he doesn't want to do 20, we'll get him 3 years.
Now, this is weird. Is the guy on Jordan Harbinger's show a real mafia guy? I don't know that show. Jordan Harbinger?
If he wants to be.
Yeah. What do you
Who the fuck is that?
So I gotta ask, he's my guy. And we had a little cigars, a little bit of wine, hanging out, enjoying each other's company. But what do you do when people call you a rat? What do you say to that?
Not there. I mean, I don't care. Listen, they call it to me. They don't say it to my face.
They don't.
Okay.
Nor would I.
Today I was in my own neighbor taking pictures and the old battle. You see them. I don't care. I really don't. If you're gonna call me a rat, back it up. One, do more time than me.
How much time did you do?
I did 6.5. So 6 to 6.5. So if you did 7 years, I'll take it.
State or federal?
Federal, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
But back to call me a rat. Make sure you never freaking did time. Make sure if you did time and everything, like I'll get it to you. Yeah, I get it. I'll earn it. You win.
Yeah.
But not if you never did anything. You go on YouTube. You want to call me a rat? We push back. What are you pushing back if you never did anything?
Good point.
Call me a rat when you did as much as I did. If you know.
Now I'm not.
Well, I have my record.
Yeah, I'm not just saying this because I always like to just be upfront, but I've interviewed, at this point, 7 made guys and the accountants, associates. Of the people that I've interviewed, I get a lot of positive feedback about you. And then they actually say, I think one of the times you even said, hey, I am who I am, and you kind of owned it.
I was not the
But a lot of guys don't. Why don't you think they just say, hey, listen, you know what? This is what I do.
Self-awareness issues, they just don't. You got to know yourself. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean you're a pussy. Rats are killers too,
So
am I right?
I'm just here to report the news.
Well, I'm just telling you, that's what it's on paper. It's not like freaking, so.
But you made, and again, because I had the, I guess, pleasure, for lack of a better word, to interview many different guys from associates and made guys who left the life. Obviously, I'm not going to interview an active guy. But my question to you though is, how hard is the transition? And you were successful at it. You transitioned from being a street guy, being a wise guy, if you will, to transition to everyday life. What was the hardest? And you're successful at it. And I know personally because we're friends. But what was the hardest part about it? And how long did it take you to kind of normalize your life?
A long time. It took a long time to normalize. Yeah. I still was like, after I got out, because you got to remember, everybody I committed crimes with, I knew them since kindergarten. I knew them since first grade, second grade. So I wasn't going to go commit crimes again because that trust was built in so long. And then again, and I know other people are going to say I broke the trust. No, it went both ways, believe me. I mean, I'm a rat if that's what you want to hear, but you got to listen to the whole story,
So obviously you left life at that point, but
so I started embracing, I started doing jobs I usually didn't do. I went to work, I went to do this, I put food on my head, take care of the people I love,
So without giving too much away, in your current life, you deal with a lot of guys that are how do I say this? That are stand-up guys like you kind of flock to guys that are like-minded. And one of the things that stood out to me was it's not about being a wise guy or not a wise guy. It's about being like a man and a stand-up guy.
Well, I respect everybody out there. I just want to respect back. And I don't care what you do for a living.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. If you respect me, I respect you. I'm not looking to go back into that mode. Like I said before, can I become that? Yeah, I can, but I'm not looking to. I'm just, and that's it. I'm having fun doing what I'm doing.
So, oh yeah. So just for people that are new, Frank was an associate, wasn't ever claiming to be a made guy. He was around obviously a lot of guys, but never claiming to be made. What is and I always kind of think about this too. What is what's the future of the mob? I mean, at this point, it's Americanized. At this point, by calculation, probably at best 1,000 made guys in the area. What's the realistic future of the current mob?
I don't know, man. Like I said before, the government's taken a lot away
in terms of earning.
Even at a smaller level, you know,
Yeah.
the gambling and the sports gambling and what else have they been taking? The weed game. The weed game has changed too.
Gambling, weed, yeah.
What's left? Putting out money. You know, if they can make money with that, yeah, fine. But I don't know. It just looks. I don't know.
Which
I mean, I'd ask anybody out there, do they think the mob is, let me ask people out there, do they think the mob is anything what it used to be even 30 years ago?
well,
Not, you know, and
no, I can speak to, you know, I know a lot of guys in business who's in construction or has, you know, certain businesses that are generally respectfully infested by the mob.
mhm.
And there's no like knock on the door. There's no, hey, you got to use this garbage guy. The garbage went to waste management. They took that over.
Right, that was a
Um,
while back.
Construction, like for example, in the 80s and 90s, it was either you had to use union because this guy,
Mhm.
or if you were non-union, you had to, you know, you had a whatever. Now I know a lot of construction guys. I'm like, give it a knock on the door. They're like, no, like you're doing some pretty big things.
Right.
So I don't think at this point. I think the power is not there. And we talked about this earlier, and there's debates on what was kind of like the main reason of I guess the downfall of the mob, especially in New York.
Right.
Give us your opinion of that. I'll give my opinion from the business end, but give me your opinion on what was the real downfall of the mob.
Um, Surveillance is one. I said nepotism. I'm
Yeah.
always going to say nepotism
Yeah.
is two. And that's it. Long jail sentences. You know, the RICO Act. That's
Yeah, but then
deals. That people are flipping over looking at 5 years in jail.
Yeah.
Not life, not the 15, 25. I mean,
But here's the thing though. So again, me being kind of me, the Calabrian mob in Canada, the Sicilian mob in Canada, the Sicilian mob itself regrouped. You got the Calabrians, $50 billion a year. You got Camorra coming around in terms of now getting global. They're starting to move out and making real money. Like other Italian organizations, like you figure the opposite. America is a land of opportunity. The
Yeah.
most money to be made here, the biggest opportunity. But the antithesis happened. The Italian organized crime groups grew.
mhm.
Calabrians are in fucking 6 continents. Right?
Yeah.
The Canada, shit, like there's killings
Yeah,
every
but
day.
how many of them based out of New York are growing?
But that's my point. My point is
Yeah.
why like so like it's not, how do I say this? It's not an Italian thing, because if it's an Italian thing, they all would go down. It's an Italian American
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, the cops are doing their job.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I mean, the feds are getting, you know, they're good at the game.
What about when so Sal Vitale flipped? He was an underboss.
Yes.
So and then obviously Messina
He was like
flipped.
shelved at the time for a second, but he was an underboss.
Yeah.
And they had gotten into a falling out like a year and a half to 2 years before he was locked up. Sal was locked up.
But like when was it? And I'm guessing maybe when Messina flipped, but when was it? And you, at this point, you're out, you're living your life or whatever. But what was like the nail in the coffin? Like when was it for Frank Fiordilino? It's like this shit's done. Like was it when Messina flipped? Like
It
what
was it was my 2 minutes. That's what it was. I tell everybody. I went to they were looking for ballistics, the special kind of prints. Okay,
Yeah.
the feds. So I had to go to this building to go get these prints. They were
Yeah.
prints that would take your you know, the bottom of your hands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why are they still looking for prints in my case? So I'm kind of getting aggravated, but I'm like, all right. So as we go there, I go with my two lawyers, and they're there, and they're supervising me, and they're just staring at me. And then tit for tat, I said, just give me a good plea bargain, whatever, and
Yeah.
I'll take it and whatever.
Yeah.
And one of them gets up and goes, no, because I know you did it. And you could keep talking fuck you want, and I know you did it. There's not. So why are you taking these prints? We're not talking to you no more. I said, black and white, we talk. And it was like 6 days before trial.
But
and I
that's
just
my
broke.
point though. What and I'm not, it is what it is.
I broke. It was the 2
But
minutes.
you broke 6 days before.
Yeah.
So what happened by the 7th day versus the 5th day? What was that inflection point?
I don't know. Shit. I think I was. A lot of things were going through my mind. I was mad at certain individuals. It was a 2 minute, 3 minute thing, and I just felt. And this is to anybody who's ever talked to the feds. I felt that once I talked to him, I can't take it back. So what? What after you're gonna come back to me? And when they asked me, "Well, you still coming aboard?" I could have said no after I talked that one day.
Correct.
I could have said no, but in the back of my head, I was like, once I talk to them, I won't feel good about myself.
What did
You know?
what did you have to give
And I'm
up?
pretty sure there's guys in there that were in my situation that went for that queen for a day, and the Fed's obligated not to say anything like somebody, and they're still in there because they figured, you know what, I can't do this no more. I felt bad about that. Once I talked to them, I felt just that was it.
What did you have to give up by going over to the other side? Was it family? Was it your life? Was it your identity?
Family was my biggest thing.
Yeah.
I don't talk to two of my brothers, and I didn't, shit with my mom was cold. So that was it. That was probably the hardest thing. It was not no more, but it was.
So I get that, and it's hard because you have to separate from family. But a lot of time has passed. Has it softened a little bit?
No,
No. Wow.
No. I think I'm becoming the more aggressive.
Okay.
Like fuck them. I don't care.
Because it gets to a point you're like, hey, listen.
Yeah, I mean, no. I'm the one who don't want to talk to them.
So this is actually my personal question is when you grow up in that life, right? You look for what a man is, right? Like
Sure.
the to me growing up was the Sicilian mason who worked 18 hours a day, made sure his kids went to college, who provided for the family, who was duro, like you
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And now that you live that life, but now you're living, I think, a real life.
Yeah, well, yeah,
A meaningful life.
right.
How has your definition of a man changed from then to now?
Like anybody in particular?
We're talking civilians and not just
The change from
Yeah.
there
Because if
to,
I went to Frank in 1989, what's a man? You would be like A, B, and C.
okay.
Now it's a lot different.
No. A guy who provides for his family, family man, does the right thing, minds his business. I still keep with that. You know what I mean? And respects everybody. Respect is the main thing. You got to respect everybody. And you ain't going to get your self-control. If you ain't looking for fights, they're not going to come to you.
What about, so when you're in the life, right?
Yeah.
It's like you got to worry about getting killed. You got to worry about getting ripped off. You got to worry about insulting the wrong guy.
Sure.
In your regular life, what are things that you worry about now?
Well, a lot of people don't.
Sorry.
A lot of people don't know who you
They're gonna
are.
say I'm drunk.
You get more challenged when you don't know what you are because
True.
people don't know your history and they don't care.
True.
When I remember when I was known that I was a little bit of a scrapper, I go somewhere, people will know already. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Now they don't know, so you got to understand you're dealing with the real public. You're really with real people, so you got to be a little bit more.
Well, how many times were you at the local bar? You had a drink, having a nice time.
I'm not gonna say. I know where you're getting at.
Yeah.
I've gotten into incidents. Yes, I've gotten into incidents.
You want to elaborate?
Huh?
You want to elaborate now?
No.
You don't have to.
No.
All right.
I got a friend of mine's laughing on me.
All right. What's your take on Mob 2? Like, because I know you don't want, like, Frank is out and
I hate it. I hate it. And you got a bunch of guys that don't know nothing about the life talking about the life. It's insulting.
Interesting. And then what about?
I don't think nobody in my situation should ever give them a freaking interview. None of them. Especially what happened to Gene. That was pretty disgusting. The guy taped his phone call and then gave it to the Post. That guy should never get an interview from nobody. I would actually pay somebody not to go on his show.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting. And then what do you think about the first party creators, the guys that were in the life that they're sharing their stories?
Well, that's the only way you're going to get a genuine story. You're not going to get it, obviously, from a made guy, unless you know him and he wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there's even among them, there's a lot of bullshit and stuff.
Interesting. And then do you think, and I always thought about this, the Calabrians and even the Sicilians of Rebound are just making billions a year, right? And I did, if you guys check it out, I did something on Listida, which was kind of more of Sicilian southern part. I'm just giving. I'm a little.
They were out of jail.
That's right. I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. Just go along with it. I think Listida is going to take care of a lot of the local stuff. The Nigerians come in, take care of the local stuff in Sicily. So now the Sicilians are going to get involved with the bigger stuff, with the Colombians, with the Americans, with the Calabrians, right? And the Calabrians, forget it. They're in 6 continents making 50 billion. Do you think, and that's my prediction, is I think as the 5 families grow weak, the Italians will send people this way to set up cells. Maybe they might not get
No,
involved.
because the immigration ain't like it used to. I think the immigration flow from Italian, you can look it up, Italian immigrants in general, in 75, it slowed down tremendously.
Agreed. But then how do you explain Ndrangheta is strong in Canada, is strong in Australia, it's strong in Uruguay, it's strong in Argentina,
Weak laws.
in Brazil.
Weak
I'm
laws,
with you.
corrupt
But
laws.
then if I'm the Indrini sitting in fucking, I don't know, wherever in Calabria, right? And Gioiello, whatever, I'd be like, from a business perspective, the biggest market's US, the biggest drug market, the biggest probably construction market. You think they'll lay off? You think the Italians like, you know what? We're making enough and we're not infiltrated? Because I just feel like the Italians will invade the U.S. because it just makes sense
They'll be
financially.
locked up in about a year. I mean, what are they going to die?
Yeah, true.
No, not especially not in the drug game.
True.
Hey, look, I said it. Just go for it. If you feel that you can make money in this country that way, you know.
True. Okay, so
We're almost there.
Almost there. We're gonna do 5 more minutes. Let me check for any questions people have. Just see. I am literally getting old. My eyes are getting worse and worse. Just see. So it's a friend. He needs to put the bottle down. The man has an ambient entrepreneur. He drinks. He becomes emotional meathead. I'm a big fan of Tom.
I become an emotional meathead?
No, me.
Oh, nice.
Like no.
Better you than me.
No, here's what's great, right? I did over 150 shows between NBA Buttman and this, and I drank on air like 5 times. That's what, 3%. And like,
give a shout out to Nadu. He said he's like
Jeff Nadu. Shout out. And are you going on Jeff Nadu's show?
I did. We did a segment together. It was pretty fun.
Is it? I missed it.
It was a week ago or so.
I usually get Jeff's notifications. Jeff, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Did you ever meet Donnie Brasco?
No.
Have you ever met an informant that turned out to be a cop?
Nope.
Have you ever met an informant that, not an informant, but an informant that...
I'm not an informant.
Well, that was part of your crew that you were shocked that they flipped.
Oh. Yeah. I would have to go with the kid Fabio. And
I don't know who that is.
And his mother. That was they flipped in the Giannini case.
So Fabio,
he flipped.
Like the last name or
Bartolotto.
Bartolotto.
Yes.
He flipped.
Yeah, and so did his mother.
His mother flipped?
Yeah, they were part of.
You told me about this.
They were Sicilian. They were Sicilians from the other side. You know, a very, very, and their brother took a long time. He's coming out pretty soon. Paulie.
Don't say they rat on the brother.
They probably did. They ratted on everybody, like 50 freaking people.
Wait a second, you told me about this. This was
the mother and the son.
Mother from the other side, a son from the other side.
Well, they had connections to the Palermo families back.
They rolled.
Well, she did 4 years, and then she got caught up because of the son. And the father did 15 years. He held his mud. Their whole family was involved. Stand-up family. It was just them two.
All right, I'm gonna do a little lead-in before we wrap up. Now, I got an inside tip from Canada about George from Canada.
Sure.
And I'm gonna have Frank on if he's willing to come on. I'm gonna do a part 1 through like my snack piece, and then if Frank's willing to come back on, if I'm nice to him enough, he'll come back on. But the George from Canada thing wasn't so straightforward. I'll give really quick. I'll set it up for those that may not know. So the George from Canada thing, if on the old show, I'm being butt man, and if you ask kind of a lot of the streetwise guys, why did George Chandra?
I forgot his last name is hard to pronounce.
Anyways, George from Canada.
Yeah,
got
George from Canada
got whacked. And if you
Georgia.
Georgia, and if you ask, no, I thought it was Orlando. I gotta check.
Orlando's his real name. We call him George.
Call him George. So George from Canada, right? Got whacked from the Bonannos. Was, I think, a soldier. He wasn't a captain, right?
Who was that? Who whacked him?
No. His rank. I think he was a soldier.
He was a captain.
I thought he got. Okay, so he was a captain. Okay.
Yeah.
But
the last zip captain at that.
The last zip captain. Nobody under him.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to give a little preview to everybody, right? he was with the Bonanno family, but had ties in Canada and would import coke from the Cultura Caruana, right, which are the heavy hitters, Rothschilds of the mob that import, heroin, Venezuela, Aruba, Italy, the whole bit, right? He was a heavy hitter and so forth, right? So he got killed by the Americans, Joe Messino. And on the old show, NBA Buttman, and if you ask a lot of street guys, they say it's because he insulted T.G. Graziano, which was, he said he was a cokehead, this and that. I don't want to talk too much about that. I'm friends with Renee and Jennifer. Even if it was true, I don't think it was, but I don't want to disrespect my friends. But with that said is, I got a bunch of information from Canada, and this story is much different. So stay tuned for that. Frank, I want to thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, man. Good deal.
I'm happy to meet you in person.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap it up. And
all right.
Thank you for checking it out, and we'll see you all soon.
All right.